This whole thing starts off as a conversation between Jesus and religious leaders. And if you go to the very end of chapter 9, and the way the Bible was written, just so you know this, the Bible wasn't written by the original authors. They didn't do chapter and verse. That was imposed several centuries later to make it easy for us to find things, right? Instead of like hunt and peck. So it gives us like reference points. But it's superimposed. And that's not the way the Bible was written. So if you really want to read it the way it was written, you have to extract those chapter verse things. And when you read it that way, you appreciate that in chapter 9, at the very end, verses 40 and 41, it says, those of the Pharisees who heard him talk about these things, they said to him, we're not blind, are we? And Jesus said to them, if you were blind, you would have no sin. But since you say we see, your sin remains. Truly, truly, I tell you that he who does not enter by the door of the fold of the sheep, but climbs in another way, is a thief and a robber. It's a continuous thought. And it's a conversation. And as you continue to read and you look at this, I don't know about your Bible, but my Bible has some of that red and black, right, writing. And as you look at that, if you just look at the red and the black, it alternates. The red is what Jesus says. The black is what the Pharisees say. And so this is a conversation. It's back and forth. And the whole premise, the context of this, the backstory, is that Jesus had healed a man who was born blind. And he told him to wash at the pool of Siloam. Remember, he spit in the dirt, put it on his eyes, washed the pool of Siloam. And everybody who recognized the man was like, oh, that's that dude who was blind all the time. And they brought the healed man to the Pharisees, to the religious leaders, and they found out that he was healed on the Sabbath, which was bad. So that's the backstory. So there's this conversation between Jesus and the religious leaders, and it goes back and forth. So they ask him a question, Jesus answers. And then if you look at verse 6, it says this figure of speech that he spoke to them, they didn't understand it. They didn't understand what he was trying to say to them. So when you go to verse 7, it's Jesus explaining. And from verses 7 through 18, Jesus is expounding on the stuff he just said in those 4 or 5 verses preceding. And then you're like, why are we doing this? Because I think it's really important. At the end of this whole thing, it says a division occurred in verse 19. A division occurred among the Jews because of these words. Many of them were saying, he has a demon and he's insane. Why do you listen to him? They didn't understand. And there are a lot of times we don't understand what Jesus says. I've been doing this dance. Donna Johnson, we've been doing this dance for quite a while, right? Do you understand everything that Jesus said? I do not. And she and I are the brilliant ones. Just kidding, I'm joking. But I bring Donna Johnson because she was my Sunday school teacher in kindergarten. So, I mean, we've been doing this dance for quite a while. And I venture to say that all of us in the room, all of us online, I don't think, if you think that you understand everything that Jesus said, probably need a sermon on humility and deception maybe. But the whole point of this is that there were a group of religious leaders who didn't understand. And there was a split. There were some of them that said, Jesus is crazy and he's demon-possessed. He's insane. And I think we have to be careful. If we don't understand what Jesus says, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's what they were doing. They're like, oh, blow him off and let's go on and read Paul or Moses or some of those guys because we get them. And I think we have to be careful that we don't make the same mistake. The other side of the schism said he can't be demon-possessed. What demon heals blind eyes? Demons don't do that. So there's a schism. And I think it's important for us, if we're going to say Jesus is our shepherd, then let's let him lead us even when we don't understand everything, right? And when there's back and forth. And I love that Jesus welcomes the dialogue. He doesn't, like shame, hey, how come you guys are so stupid and you don't get this? He welcomes the dialogue. I don't understand what you're saying here. And I love and appreciate it because I find myself doing that with Jesus. I did that like for a couple weeks on this whole thing. I was like, I don't get what you're doing here. How on earth could, and so it's a question that I have. And Jesus, none of that makes Jesus nervous, anxious, jittery, uptight. I think the questions, he welcomes the questions because I think the questions can be a springboard for greater connection, greater intimacy, and greater trust.